Hi everyone, welcome back to the Colour Cave where we like to play with art stuff. It's Jem here. Before we get on to the Scrawler Challenge, I just want to give you a few updates. First of all, thank you everyone who asked about my foot. It is not broken, it is just very not foot shaped, so I am just kind of taking it easy and putting my foot up. I can kind of walk on it now, but no great disaster. I'm just kind of like a bit slower at doing everything. Secondly, you guys are seeing this video on Sunday. Today is my Gran's birthday, so she is going to see all of your contributions for her little birthday surprise. So Tuesday, I will put that up as a bonus video and let you see what she can see. And I just want to thank you all very much for that again. Lastly, it is Sunday, so there are fresh items gone up in the stash shop this morning. So if you want to head over there and take a look and see if there's anything that tickles your fancy, you are more than welcome to do so. I do have a few products that are more regular stock now, so there's more than one of them, which means that everybody's got a better chance of getting a hold of things. And there's also a few other bits and pieces going up on the website as well. I tend to refresh the content on the website once every couple of weeks, maybe 3 weeks. So there's a little blog post up there and one thing and another. So you can check that out over at the website too while you're there. Right, let's get on to what we're actually here for, is the Scrawler Challenge. Okay, full disclosure, I am chock full of painkillers, so I may be slightly impaired. That could be a help or a hindrance because we are, of course, tackling the Scrawler Challenge of fractured figures, which is a kind of abstracty type theme, and I know nothing about abstract. I'm not even going to pretend that I do. The idea that I've chosen to go with, I'm not even sure it's going to translate into acrylic at all. I think it would probably make a good watercolour picture, but we're going to try it anyway and see how we get on. Someone had left a comment in the unboxing video about this Hardmouth Magic pencil, about the white in the core being a blender. I just wanted to confirm or debunk that with a sheet of black paper here, and if I do this all across the sheet of paper, you can see that there's a white line, so it is not a colourless blender or a blender pencil, it is white pencil. So really using this pencil and black paper would probably a much better and much more interesting idea than just on the white paper that we have been provided with in our scroller box. I am probably just going to use this pencil for the undersketch because it's too unpredictable for me to work it into my idea. Okay, so just a quick refresher. Here's was doodlings from last time. We've got this black Daler Rowney acrylic paint marker. Several people have said that in the UK, if you go to Poundland, which is a shop where you go in and unsurprisingly everything is a pound, so it's the equivalent of like a dollar store or a Dollar Tree. These are in the Poundland stores for £1, and they do come in different colours. Somebody else had also commented and said they had tried the Daler Rowney Simply Gouache and said it was terrible. So that's just a bit of information I'm passing on. I can give this a shake. So we've got our black marker and we've got our 3 Sinelli abstract acrylic paints here in white, blue and red. So I'm going to have to do a fair bit of mixing for this today. So I don't know how well I'm going to get on here, but we're going to try with this pencil. And I would like to put a black border around the outside of this. I have no idea why, but I just felt like it seemed like a good idea. And I tend to shy away from the use of a ruler if I can help it. Ever since I started to learn to draw, I've tried to draw freehand straight lines as much as possible, just to sort of help with, you know, getting your eye in. Now the thing is, because of this texture of the paper, it's got like this linen texture, there are lines already there, so you've got a guideline and your pencil can kind of fall into those lines. So if you're looking to do an artwork that's got, you know, a lot of straight lines in it, this paper is actually really helpful without having to reach for a ruler. I wouldn't say I struggled for an idea for this. It wasn't for a lack of ideas, it was more the actual execution and how I was going to do it with the pencil and these paints. I actually quite enjoy acrylic and I have used it. I've used it a lot more recently, you know, I've kind of got into using it. I wouldn't say, as I say with all painting mediums, I'm not really a painter, it's not my thing. I just enjoy it to play with it, but I'm definitely not proficient. The other thing I'm not proficient at is drawing human body parts, which you're about to experience in its full glory, because I am going for a human theme with this, which is probably the worst idea ever, but you guys know me, I'm not scared because I can't expect to be wonderful at something if I don't practice it. That's you know, pretty realistic and basic expectation management there. But the good thing is, even when you're sketching in pencil, that's one of the things I love about acrylic, because it's so forgiving. You know, even if your drawing isn't perfect, you can correct it, because when you paint over the top of it, you will literally be, you know, painting over the top of it. You won't be able to see your lines, and I can tell straight away that my sketch line there is a bit off. Yeah, so my idea here, I was getting to that part. My idea here is to have a shattered mirror. So someone's put their hand on the mirror and it's broken. And when it's broken, their reflection has sort of all been jumbled up in a sort of trippy, fragmented, you know, upside down, topsy-turvy kind of effort. So I thought that would kind of play into the abstract idea a bit better without having to go full on abstract, which is something that I've never done, and to be truthful, it's not really up my street. But I didn't want this to be a cop-out, you know, I did want to make an effort at this sort of thing, but it still had to be something that would lend itself to how I would normally draw. Most of you'll know by now I am a ridiculously logical person. So abstract for me completely goes against everything that I've tried to learn and that I've learned when learning to art. So it's kind of difficult to go against the grain. If it was something where I had time to study, you know, I consciously made an effort to do some sort of abstract study, that's a different thing. But trying to shoehorn it into a challenge with limited art supplies, it's not really the best way to go about getting started with something new like this. So this kind of like dabbling sort of idea suits me much better. So I'm just drawing in my mirror shards here. So yeah, the story about my foot, someone had asked in one of the comments if it was cow related. I wish it was that spectacular. Our heating has not been working for a few days, so I've been relying on the open fires and the log burners in the house. And I was carrying the log basket through to our lounge to top up the supplies, and woo, the Jack Russell was right underneath me and I couldn't see her because I was holding the basket and she was underneath the basket, and I literally went over the top of her and I went over on my foot like this way, and something popped. So the first thing I did was crawl on my hands and knees and grab a hold of the Jack Russell before she ran away to make sure that she was okay, because I could have broken her back or anything, and she's old, but she was absolutely fine. So I then sat and felt sorry for myself for about 10 minutes and felt slightly sick, and then after that crawled through and sat in the chair and felt sorry for myself some more. Now I do want to have a slight edge on these pieces, you know, just to make it look a little bit more 3D. I may have to use the pencil to do this because the paint marker's not going to be fine enough. Next thing I have to decide is what body parts are going in which mirror, and I don't want them to be logical. And then this part's big enough we could have a full eye. So we could have eyebrow, actual eye, and maybe we'll have the other eye up here. Just a bit of rearranging of body parts here. So I'm going to have to mix myself some sort of flesh tone, so this is going to be interesting, because it is going to have to be some sort of pink. I know someone's going to say it's abstract, you could have blue skin, but it still needs to be identifiable as actual skin. So even with quite a bit of water in it, it's covering up quite a lot of my pencil lines already, which is fabulous. Okay, so I'm thinking about the areas where there is going to be some skin, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a really big chunk of this white now and make this much, much paler. And I'm going to start with this area of the face. So I don't want this to be, or should I say, I don't want the whole shard of glass to be this skin tone, but I just want it to be around the areas where the actual body part is, to kind of like up the randomness factor. So in order to do that, I'm just going to fade out my edges here. So I've just wet my brush a little bit, and hopefully that's going to move. It's really not moving. Oh my goodness. Might have to blend some white in on top of that then. I was really just wanting to soften this edge down. Okay, so you're going to have to be quick with this, because you can see that's not done much at all. Now I'm really interested to find out what happens if I grab a bit of this black, like a teeny weeny wee bit of it, and mix it in here. Am I going to be able to get like a sort of darker browny red? Ah, now. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, I'm not, well, there we go. I was going to say I'm not able to get particularly delicate strokes with this brush, but I'm really not. I'm trying. Yeah, I just want to finish this one shard so that I can get it right in my mind what I'm trying to do. I have to say, the more that I use these pouches, the more I'm like, I'm not that bothered about them. They're a bit fiddly and they're actually quite messy, unless you're squeezing straight on, in which case Jem still managed to make a mess. Yeah, so what I'm wanting to do now, and I'm going to grab another brush for this. This is purely as a time-saving exercise for filming rather than cheating. This is just an old craft brush. It's a Faber-Castell brush, and I'm just going to use this to mix my colours to save me having to keep re-cleaning my good brush in inverted commas. And that's better. That's kind of more the colour I was thinking. That's what I had in my mind. This just seems very watery all of a sudden. Okay, I'll try and take as much of that off as possible. And I just want to get that nice little, you know, this nice little darker patch in here that runs down to the lip. I'll just keep sort of chipping away at this arm, I think. It's going to be an ongoing pursuit. Okay, cool. So that's like the first part, and everything else is pretty much going to go the same way, so I don't really know how exciting this is going to be for y'all. Now, lesson learned from last time, once I've got the area covered that I want covered with the sort of pinky tone, I'm going to grab some white straight away. See if I can't blend it out a bit better. It is quite warm in the cave today, and acrylic paint is renowned for drying pretty quickly anyway, so we are having to make that decision to work quickly. But the good thing about acrylic is you can layer it up over itself. So if you're not entirely happy with something, you can go back over it. Now, I could have started with the blue, painted the body parts over the top, but I didn't want to lose my sketch lines, which is why I've done it like what feels like an awkward way round. I suppose it is an awkward way round. I could have painted the blue on first and then drawn over the top of it, but because of the unpredictability of the pencil, if there was a lot of the blue showing through, I was kind of worried that it would continue to show through. I hope that makes sense to everyone. I mean, it's still going to show through a little bit. I think that's a kind of a given here, but maybe not as prominent. I don't like the colour this white's drying. It is drying like with a really big yellowish tinge to it. It's almost like cream. So I'm just going to use a little bit of this. This is a mixture of the pink and the sort of darker red. Yeah, I mean, that's dry already. That's insane. And it's just to give the indication of like some eyelid creases here. And then I'm going to do what I did before, and I'm going to grab this marker. But I want actual pure black this time. I'm going to have to go quickly. Right, again, I'm not sure how well this brush is going to perform doing this, but we're going to try. I'll try and keep that quite dry. So we've got what looks like the beginning of an eyebrow. Okay, the eyelashes went well. That's always something. So I think because we're going to have like quite a full eye down here, I think I'm literally going to just make this like the mucous membrane part of the eye. I'm not going to make it around the outside. Okay, so back up here to my eyeball. I'm going to put my pupil in. Because that's not freaky, honestly. Oh, it makes me laugh. Now I've got this that's dried on the palette here, and I'm kind of hoping that if I dip my brush in here, reconstitute this dried out white. You can tell I'm not really caring much about this brush. I'm like writhing it about like it's a scrubbing brush. It's not even picking that up now. Come on. Mixy mixy. And just give that a slightly, like a very slight grey hint. And it's just so that I can put in a little bit of shadow here if it'll let me. Yeah, there we go. And then, again, I'm not sure, there's more of the the parameters of the brush rather than my actual painting skills, but I was kind of hoping that I could get a little bit more detail in this eye. Let's move on down now. So I was scribbling stuff about here, wasn't I? So this is the other eye here. So we decided this was going to be the other ear, did we? No, the ear. Yeah. So what was this then? I am going to have to use the rest of this blue before it dries out though, so I'll need to go around and do all these parts first. This is probably one of the worst ideas I've ever come up with for a scroller challenge. Like, truthfully, I don't even like my own idea. Well, that's not true. I do like my idea. I don't like it in a limited palette with acrylics. It's probably a bit more accurate. I think we just this one's going to be empty, that's what we decided. I am going to run out of this paint. I hate trying to remix the same colour. I'm rubbish at it. Okay, so that's all the blue areas done. This has just made me want to look at the retail price of this paintbrush. £3.95. This paintbrush is not worth £3.95. No, definitely not. I wouldn't pay £3.95 for this paintbrush. I might pay 50p for it, but... Okay, so let's move on to some more of our body parts. So I've got this ear section here that I need to be dealing with. I've got my eyeball to deal with as well. Eyeballs, two ears to deal with. Right, so let's do this ear just because it's the right way round. It's the right way up. Got this outside edge and then the ear lobe part. So far so good. Ears are really difficult. I actually quite enjoy drawing ears. I enjoy drawing ears for some weird reason because, well, in graphite anyway, you know, I like all the kind of nooks and crannies and the shading that goes along with it, but I am aware that they are incredibly difficult to paint and draw. You know, they're a very complex body part, which... I don't know, I think it's kind of the appeal. But see the hand thing, I can take or leave the hands. Like I could go my entire life without having to draw a human hand. But I kind of like the complexity of the ear situation rather than shying away from it. So I don't know what that says about me, but I think because I like shading and, you know, that kind of thing, maybe that's why it appeals to me, I don't know. Again, kind of struggling with the fine detail part of this though. The brush isn't really up to much for me. Again, see if we were working on like a bigger canvas, this would be less of an issue. The thing I like about acrylic as well is I like taking a dirty brush and dipping it in another colour, you know, so you get like almost like a marbled effect. I really wish this white was a bright white. It's kind of ruining my happiness right now, but never mind. Okay, completely lost my place as well, got interrupted there by the phone ringing. I don't know what it is, but these last few weeks especially, I seem to get interrupted an awful lot more often. And I usually film in the afternoons. I do my proper job, and once I've got everything done with that in the morning, then I can film videos. And all the boys know that that's when I film, and they just seem to want to interrupt me. How dare you? That doesn't even look like an ear. Oh, I just want to do it in pencil. Now see, this is where I'm tempted to use this pencil, like see in the ear crevices, and I may well still do it. I tell you where else I really want to try it, is round the top of these lips. And lo and behold, I'm getting a lot of purple. Just to make it look a bit more kind of like oomphy. Yeah, there we go, that's better. And I'm going to take a dollop of white straight out the tube here. Pouch, tube, neck of the pouch which has a tube. Now, I do have part of a bottom lip here. Oh, so again, I'm going to take a tiny little bit of this black and splodge it in with some of this red. I should have done that over there. What are you playing at, Gem? Obliterate seems to be my word of the week. I realised in the last video that I did was, the upgrade. The upgrade unboxing. I use the word obliterate quite a lot. I don't know where that's come from. So let's put the darker colour in first here. So this is like the bottom lip. And the other thing that I want to do as well is actually use a bit of the black, but I kind of want to fade it out into some of this blue. So this is going to be a problem. I can feel it in my water already. It's going to be a problem. I'm just finding this really awkward. Like I don't seem to have any flow with what's going on here. Grab a wee bit of the blue. And just, oh, that's too much. I feel really clumsy with the brush. Oh no. That's what it is. I feel like I'm trying to, I can't really describe what I'm feeling right now. And this complete lack of being able to get a decent grey without jumping about between these, you know, this marker carry on and everything, it's just a bit. My dogs are driving me nuts today, and it's not their fault. Obviously I haven't been able to WALK them, and they're very, very restless. Now bearing in mind we've just been through a period of having a lot of snow, and they've not necessarily been able to go OUT then either, so they thought they were getting a sweet release for like the last week, and now this is like day 3 of, nah, you're not going anywhere. So Mr. Jem did say if he's back at a reasonable time, he is off the farm today. He did say if he was back at a reasonable time and it was still light enough, he would take them for a little rumble about, so that would be good. The tip of this brush is absolutely infuriating me because it doesn't come to a point. Maybe it's just mine. You know, it's very possible that it's just a sort of freak occurrence, but it's making life really difficult for me. I'd almost go as far as to say I'm feeling a little bit stressed here, just between the dogs pacing about, not really knowing what I'm doing. You know, the painkillers they're not really helping actually. I thought they'd maybe have mellowed me out a little bit, but they're really not. Still, but I mean, it's still sore. Like the painkillers aren't taking the pain away. It's just kind of like taking the edge off it, which I suppose I should be thankful for, really, because it could have been a lot worse. But it's just not helping things right now. I was expecting it to be more help. This other ear is upside down, so in order to make things right in my brain, I'm going to turn this way. Yeah, so let me know in the comments if your brush doesn't come to a perfect point either. I've got there's one side of it and about maybe a dozen of the bristles are a lot shorter. Oh, this is where I got interrupted. Look, I've filled this in. Oh, wow. On the plus side, the paint drying quickly means that there's not a lot of hanging about going on. Which I, for one, well, to be fair, I would normally be grateful for because I'm usually really pushed for time. How ironic. But on this occasion, I'm not. It's kind of annoying me. Ah, jeez. Right, okay, so let's see what we can do. This does not look like an ear at all. It looks like a person that's got a really small chin. Oh, I'm having the best of fun. Yeah, I'm going to have to do something with that. I don't know what happened there. Like, I really don't know what happened. Maybe I can... That should be coming down, like, there. Okay, so with my black paint marker, I can draw in some nostrils. While I'm waiting for that to dry, I'm just going to get this last little bit of base skin tone down here. Jack Russell's just sitting eyeballing me. What's wrong with you? Oh, lordy. The grey paint that I had has dried up as well, which is not what I was after. What I want to do now is try and mix a shade of purple just to give this a bit more excitement. But I suppose I'd better do my other eye first. I actually think that the black might be too dark for this. Like, it's going to be like far too much of a contrast. But we'll see. Yeah, that's okay actually. Okay. And then you can maybe just have the start of a little shadow here, you know, so that you know that there is the nose does continue on elsewhere. It's nostrils. Oh, how we love nostrils. So I'm going back to my black marker gauntlet here. Quick, put some of that on the end. Now, the fact that the end of my bristles aren't coming together in a point is actually working to my advantage here. You see how the bristles are splitting, so it's actually giving me like a much better eyelash effect. I'm not really looking forward to scrubbing this off this plastic palette either. Okay, the last thing that I wanted to mix up was a really nice like bright purple, and it's just for some nail polish for my hand. So I've got blue and red here that hasn't completely like shriveled away to nothing, so let's see what I can do. So I'm going to need a bit more blue than red this time. Let's just mix it in with that. We'll make that the starting point. I'm just looking at my hand here, and this is like, there's something very unnatural going on. and it's about here. I think I should have gone with that original crease. Oh, goodness me. Do you know what? I'm actually weirdly having fun though, so yeah. But in a like a I don't really care about the artwork kind of way. I'm pretty sure some of you know what I'm talking about, if not all of you. Let's grab some of this white quick. I need to make sure I've got enough of this as well. But not too much that it dries out before I get to it. Wow. Okay, so the different facets are obviously going to be slightly different shades, but I will remedy that with some white. I know my brush skills aren't the greatest, but I'm just getting really, really, really frustrated with this paintbrush. It's inconsistent, like, because some strokes it's absolutely fine, and then it just goes, nah. So yeah, the paints themselves are actually quite nice. They seem to be a little bit thinner than what I'm used to, but that's not a bad thing, I don't think, because it is easier to mix them and blend them and whatnot. So I would definitely say that that's not a downside to them, but they can be a little bit sort of, whoa, hard to handle. I wish the sun would make up its mind what it's doing here. It keeps going away and coming back, and I shouldn't be complaining really. I can't remember the last time we saw sunshine. I said to Mr. Jem this morning, what's that big yellow thing up in the sky that's making my eyes hurt? The sunrise here was spectacular this morning though, I'll say that for sure. It's the first time I've seen the sunrise in ages. Again, it's just because we've been enveloped in like the biggest, thickest duvet of black clouds known to man. Grey clouds, snow clouds, foggy clouds, just fog. Misty fog, foggy mist. Actual snow. Oh, I could go on forever. I'm having one of those times with this artwork where in my head I'm already like redoing it in pencil or in watercolour. Whether or not I actually do that remains to be seen, because it's not a thing I'm in a habit of. Apart from, well, the Imaginarium, I redid the Imaginarium, but I really, really, really wanted to do that. Again, maybe I would even put a thick black outline round the hand, but I don't trust this brush, and the marker's too thick to do it. So once again, frustration. The other thing I'm going to do is just on these top edges, let's just run a little bit of this white over the grey. Paintbrush is still being an a-hole. I don't know if you'll be able to see that or not. My brush has split into two, like actually split into two defined sections, and that's what's making this really difficult. And in order for me to avoid that, I'm having to make my bristles like super wet. Weirdly, out of all of this, my favourite part's the nose. I think this ear, what's this ear? I think this ear here is like past helping, but we'll try. We'll just make sure that this one's got a really, really big crack across it. It's like people who always draw characters that have got their hands in their pockets because they don't like drawing hands. Right, okay, I'm done with that paintbrush. I can't deal with it anymore. I am going to take this off of here. Oh. And I'm just going to, in fact, oh, I've got this page and that's handy. And I'm going to put in this black border. Really give this paint marker a go of it. It doesn't feel great on this paper because this paper's really textured. If you are trying to get like a solid line, it's not always obliging, but that's more to do with the combination of the supplies rather than a supply being at fault, if you see what I'm saying. And I notice it's something that I'm seeing more and more. Obviously, just the more art supplies that I play with, quite often there isn't a fault with the art supply itself and it is good quality, but there are certain items that maybe don't play so well together. And a really good example of that was the Upcrate one that I've just done. I'll link that video in the description in the end card if you haven't watched it. Those Rembrandt pastels are really, really good pastels. I've used them before, but I really struggled with them on the paper that was meant for them. And I know that I could have got much better results if I'd used a different paper. So, you know, and when you're reviewing, you know, especially when you're unboxing stuff, it's something that I don't want to be the person that puts someone off a supply that's actually really good just because the curators of the box have given us like a duff combination, and it happens really, really often now. And I think that's why some supplies get a really bad reputation, because, you know, someone's, you know, done a video or something and they've gone, oh, this is terrible. When in actual fact, it's just because nobody's done their research and actually tried the products together. It's just like, oh, we'll bung all of this in a box together. And you're like, yeah, you should have thought about that. And it happens more frequently than I care to recall. Now, interestingly, I want to see how the recommended retail price of these markers are as well. Apparently, the recommended retail price is £2.65, so if you can get yourself to Poundland if you're in the UK, you're going to get yourself a bargain. Right, okay, I think I am more or less finished. There's one thing that's really annoying me. Well, there's a lot of things that really annoyed me about this. I haven't taken the paint far enough down for the arm and the bottom. Like, I wanted it to disappear behind the border, and there is just like this white line, and I ain't going back in there with not going back in there with any more paint. I can't use that paintbrush anymore. Like, I can't do it. I would love to know if anybody else has had the same problem with this paintbrush or whether it is just mine, because I've got a funny feeling it might just be this one. I really wanted to be able to show you. I'm going to stand up for this. But can you see the step in the bristles there? There is this section here that's really long. And then these other bristles that are left on this top side here are much shorter, so they were splitting like crazy. So yeah, please let me know if you've had a similar experience, if you've done your Scrawler challenge, or whether I have just got a defective brush. But I would not pay £3.95. Was it £3.95? I would not pay £3.95. I wouldn't even pay £3 for one of these brushes. And you know me, I'm quite forgiving with stuff like that, but absolutely not. That's a rip-off if that's the way that all the brushes are. Anyway, I would love to know what you think of this box, what you think of the challenge. I have done something that's still something within my capabilities, but tried to give it an abstract twist. I would love to hear your thoughts on that as well. I am very tempted to redo this and do it in pencil or watercolour, probably pencil. I just want to show you the original sketch in my sketchbook that I thumbnailed out, and I literally did that with a fine liner and a couple of the Pilot Eno mechanical pencils, you know, the coloured ones. And I think even with the few colours that I've used, it was only red, blue and green, I think it looks much better than the painting. Yeah, so you can tell me your thoughts on that anyway. I'd love to hear from you as always. I just want to thank you very much for watching. This has been a bit of a chore for me today. My foot is still throbbing, but you know, it's not a disaster. I'll live. But I think I'm going to go for a lie down now, maybe have a cup of tea or something. So thanks again, folks, and we'll see you back in the cave on Thursday for another video. So have a good day, everyone, and bye for now.